After almost 13 months of collective bargaining leading to the president's approval of 70,000 naira minimum wage, many across the rank and file of the government service and the organized private sector are now trying to come to grips of what this would mean for the economy, the earning power of the Nigerian worker, at least for the next 3 years. For the private sector, many still in the brink of imminent collapse. Can they afford new pay structure? Arise News was in town to get a pulse of a cross-section of people on the new minimum wage.
If you look at the cost of living and the price of goods and services, 70,000 cannot take one person in a 1 month. Talk more of a person that have family, wife, children. So it's just a game. They promise a living wage, but this one is a slavery wages.
We're actually hoping that at least they'll peg it at 100,000, which is still not enough. But in any case, I don't think I have anything to say much because the problem we have now is inflation. And already retailers are planning on how to increase prices of goods, hearing that the government has actually increased their minimum wage.
The 70 they have done is still good, but what they should be doing is make more effort to improve the value of the naira so that it can buy more.
The 70,000 minimum wage will not help the matters. The only thing that I think that even to help the matters is if the government begins to subsidize things so that people that they are not working under the government agency, but they will still benefit.
There is an office I visited today, which I will not mention the name of the office, at 11 o'clock. I couldn't see anybody in the office, and I was so depressed. I said, oh, look at this, look at my fellow Nigerian workers that are demanding for increase in minimum wage. None of them is in the office. And if government does not pay, they are the same people that will keep alarming that government has not paid them. So please, we Nigerians, we need to really look inward on ourselves before we even disturb the government.
Private.
And to discuss details of the terms of the agreement of the new minimum wage and what it means for both workers and businesses is Chibuzo Okereke. He's a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the program, Chibuzo.
Thank you. Good evening.
Someone just called that new wage a slavery wages. Do you agree with him?
Well, I'm not a fan of wage system, but it's important in our governance system. And like somebody rightly said, this increment, they have implication. I know that there's a World Bank program with the public service in Nigeria that is migrating from the old system to what they call performance management system. But you see, it's not really about the wages people go home with, even though that is important, but about productivity. We should encourage productivity and entrepreneurship in Nigeria. Nigeria is a huge market. A lot of people from outside the country are establishing businesses here. So I think our SMEDAM program, MSME program, a lot of institutional programs that we have established have not really delivered. Now, focusing on the public service, there are key complaints that people have. Issue of transportation, issue of cost of things, in the markets. Remember that just with the pronouncement that a wage has been increased to 70,000, you're going to see multiplier effect on the market and then inflation, because we are not coordinating even how these announcements are made. Because anytime government speaks, it's like a policy statement.
Right.
It has ripple effect on other issues. So, but based on what is going on now, and the fact that Labour have been engaging under the Minimum Wage Act, this is a movement from where we were to a new place, and how we implement from here, especially the issue of engaging the private sector is very important. Yeah.
You made a very good point. Entrepreneurship. We should focus on that. But you also know that there are challenges, especially for small businesses in this climate.
Yeah, and that is what we need to tackle, the ease of doing business. There's even an ease of doing business council in the presidency. We need to, these are kind of laws or regulation that we should nationalize. Let us also have state parties, local government parties within that system, and begin to invest in our people. And now, if somebody complain about going to the civil service offices and what have you.
And it was empty.
Have we really asked ourselves the productive value chain in the civil service administration system? At those that are in level 8, then what exactly do they do? Can we remove some of the regulations we have and encourage them to also go into other productive venture that can align with what they do? Because from what we know, most of those in certain grade levels simply don't have responsibility by the way we have designed the workflow, and that should really change.
So this raise, how do you think it will impact on the economy generally?
Well, it's a mixed basket. There's this excitement that probably have moved from 30,000 to 70, and I know other levels will be agitating for a consequential increase at different levels. But I would rather that this increase that we have done, let us have a system where productivity is encouraged, with this form. But definitely it will lead to increase in cost and invariably affect the purchasing, power of the people. Because when you have resources, or somebody assumes that you have resources, the way it relates with you is also different. Yeah.
So let's look at the National Assembly briefly. They have slashed their salaries by 50%. What's your reaction to that move? Well, you're laughing. Why are you laughing?
I listened to the honorable member, and I think that the House of Rep has always taken the lead. In 2020, during the COVID, they slashed their salary for, I think, 1 year. We saw that in 2022, during the Kaduna bomb blast, we saw the same. But I have issue with some of these resolutions. Who are the people that are hungry? Who are the people that are planning protest? Where are they? They are in the constituencies of honorable members. So when you cut your salary and you give it to executive, to go and affect your own people, you're already representative of the people. And the National Assembly has Committee on Constituency Outreach. So I think that the resolution should, because they are on first line charge. So do you take money from NAS and send back to executive? In the service-wide vote for social investment programs, we have nearly over $500 billion. I should think that a resolution be taken for the Minister of National Planning and Budget to explain to Nigerians how much of that social impact program we have implemented, how much of that budget has been released. So somebody made that contribution about adequate oversight, robust oversight of the government program itself. And the resolution should also be taken and members empowered to go to their constituencies within a timeline to conduct town hall meetings and outreaches, because nobody in Nigeria who is planning a protest that does not belong to a constituency. So right. Let us go and engage them, know what the issues are. The minister, we have a minister for special duties. We have not been seeing him. I mentioned in this program there are essays on community development. We have not been seeing these people. The Office of the Policy Coordination and Result Delivery, we can't see anything. Right. There's an amendment for NOA to go on a campaign and awareness. What is the budget of NOA in 2024? So I think everything still lies within the national. Symbolically, in terms of that resolution, it is good nationally. But there are deeper, legislative processes and intervention that can be taken to address the matter more squarely. Yeah.
Although he did say that they haven't made a decision on what
the resolutions of the House are not passed that way.
There will be specific projects and they're still discussing
those thoughts and processes are what is factored whenever a House passes a resolution. Because if you want another resolution on specifics, you have to come to the plenary. You won't discuss it outside of that if it will be a resolution of the House. So I think that they don't need to, because in 2020 when they gave their money for COVID, there was no account as to what the executive government used the money to intervene. So it should be specific and direct. And my thinking is, since the people we want to alleviate are also our constituents, let us take those funds to go and engage them and know what the issues are, alleviate the ones we can alleviate, and then come to federal government and ensure that our service-wide vote contingency provisions are properly administered.
This reduction in salaries, what message do you think it sends to the public, especially in the light of, the kind of massive expenditures that go on in the National Assembly?
Well, those of us who I'm a legislative governance expert, and I advocate for strengthening of the institution of the National Assembly. I have written about constituency project management in a 28 trillion budget in 2024. How much is voted for constituency development? Because this is community development. We could have voted maybe 1 billion each, and then set up community like we have in Kenya, in Tanzania, in other climes, have constituency committee management. The member will simply not get involved except to supervise. These people manage it, and then the executive government implement, right? So I think maybe symbolically people will say a step has been taken, but substantively there will still be the question. You can hear the former vice president saying, oh, the problem. Because let me tell you, like everybody knows, under the National Assembly Service Commission, the National Assembly members have 5 statutory staff allocated to them. But in the executive arm, where is the document that tells us how many aides a minister should have and what they go home with? How many aides head of an agency should have? This is the challenge. And I think the National Assembly should, even as they try to work with the executive to move governance forward, do the needful by tackling issue of cost of governance. Where we have it more is in the executive. That is the truth. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, I don't know why the National Assembly cannot stand up and make categorical administrative prescriptions in law as to how. Yeah.
What you are saying is that they are not doing their oversight duties.
Oversight is the weakest we have seen. Among the 3 functions, oversight has been the weakest.
Because they should examine the policies
absolutely.
And do something
then
about
steps where you have made allocations to a particular ministry and they have not administered it properly. The oversight function will reveal that. And when the report is taken, far-reaching decisions are made as to the type of allocation they will get. How can somebody get 200 billion to execute a project and then come back next year for another budget without even effectively accounting for that particular one? You even see new project, the particular one you appropriated for the agency last time has not been implemented. So oversight has been weak, and we need in the National Assembly to enhance the oversight governance and effectiveness.
If lawmakers have to be overseeing projects in the constituencies, what do we have local governments for?
No, they are not overseeing.
Because that creates a kind of problem. That's why most times they say the so-called constituency, he said, is running cost. People ask, what do you do with all these funds?
No, I think he may have gotten that line wrong. The running cost, I don't know. You are not to use it to implement any capital project. Capital project is conceived under the zonal intervention project or the capital inclusion project. And these projects are domiciled with executive agencies who now go to the constituency to implement it. The member is to supervise to be sure that, because of course it's a political campaign tool that I attracted ABCD in my constituency, so that is why they oversight it. But I really think the National Assembly should rise up to the occasion and tackle the issue of cost of governance, especially with the executive arm of government, and also any cost that is not incidental to legislative process in the National Assembly.
Do you think that the Senate should follow suit?
Absolutely. I think that, you know, since this motion is motion of urgent public importance, by the standing orders of the House, the Speaker must be notified before the rules are suspended for it to be taken. And you should do that at least 24 hours before the day to be taken if you follow the rules. So when that the Speaker was briefed or whoever, rules and business, I thought that maybe the Senate would have been reached so that it will be leadership motion that will be taken and resolution done concurrently. However, I still insist that you don't slash your salary to give to federal government, because those that are hungry are your constituents. They are not in heaven. So you go and use that fund and tackle them. It's a special intervention fund, so I can understand why they had to do that, but let them go to their constituency, engage them and use it to tackle it.
Chibuzo Okereke, it's been great to have you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.